to divine. Well, this is a follow-up video to the Johnson Viking II that came out from Cleveland a few days ago that I showed you guys. It was in pretty rough shape. I've got it rebuilt and had some people asking to see the repair job after it's complete, so here we go. So on the front panel, I have installed a standard 4-pin microphone jack. As you remember, when I first presented this transmitter, there was a 1/4-inch headphone type plug there, giving the illusion that it had push to talk, which it did not. Now it does, and it has my system in it. So as before, to examine the underside of the radio, I've got her tilted back on the bench. We'll do the same thing we did before. We're going to sweep from one end to the other. Crystal select switch here. Over here now is a new little terminal board. This has the push to talk power supply. So there's a couple of diodes, a little cap, and then this lead here zings around here and goes over to the new 12-volt DC push to talk relay. Okay, so that goes under here to the new microphone jack, which is tucked up in here. You can see there's an inch hole punched now in the aluminum chassis, okay? Because the 4-pin mic jack is actually installed directly to the front panel. So I had to have clearance for the leads to exit that and go where they need to go, okay? And the first place they go is the new rebuilt audio section. So this is the standard interstage transformer, but I replaced all the components here in the preamp section, and that's working beautifully. And I also changed the 200 ohm resistors feeding the grids at the 807s because they're like way out of tolerance. This is the new coax installed coming off the roller inductor assembly. These shrouds that Johnson used are very hard to find. Luckily I had one in stock. So it has a nice fresh piece of RG8 going up to the roller inductor. I have our new filter caps. This is for the 300 volt line. This is for your negative bias, so they don't have to be as high as voltage. So I mount this terminal strip and everything fits in here very nicely. They asked directly about the new modulation bias current resistor. Here it is. Brand new 20K 50 watt resistor. I buy these from Allied Electronics. They're kind of pricey, like 20 bucks a piece. But as you remember, there was a 10K hanging out here in the breeze. It is gone. This is wired the way Johnson did its stock. The bias is set to about 50 to 60 mils and works perfectly. Here we are topside. As I said before, to change that microphone jack, I had to remove the entire front panel. So when I did that, I obviously cleaned and lubed all the controls. All right, and then of course I had to install this transformer. You guys are probably wondering what the heck is that. This is a little 18 volt center tap transformer that I use for the 12 volt DC that I need for push to talk. Yeah, I know a lot of guys use the voltage doubler circuit with a couple of caps, but I would rather have a dedicated transformer. So there it is. And it's kind of in the place of where Johnson used to put an accessory for a keying circuit, okay? So it really doesn't affect the operation or the real estate in the radio. You can still get to the crystal board here to install your crystals. Then, down here, if you remember, there was a bunch of jacks installed. Well, I removed all that and installed a piece of tin back here to obviously cover the holes and not allow the mousies to enter the radio. So when you have a Johnson Viking II transmitter, you have to switch your antenna. So here is a dial key relay. It has the external contacts for muting your receiver. Now Johnson uses these little crystal type sockets. They're kind of difficult to hook into. A lot of guys just cram wire in there. It's not very safe practice. So what I do is I take a crystal and I actually drill a hole in the back of it. I unsolder it, and then I take the leads, solder to those pins, okay? So then it will plug right in here, just like a crystal does. And that supplies the 120 volt switch power to the dial key. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of work to getting these Johnson Vikings back on the air and making them reliable. So you may wonder, how long did that take you, D-Lab? Well, probably about 16 hours or so, right? I'm not going to tell you how much I'm going to charge, but it sure isn't what you think. And there's a reason for this, okay? I had a friend of mine call me up and he said, you know, Terry, you could make a lot more money fixing classic amps. You know, spend 2 or 3 hours and probably make what you do on that 16-hour job for that Viking II. Yeah, you know what? He's probably right. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Here's why I do it. I grew up with these transmitters. When I was 12 years old, I was repairing Johnson Viking IIs for my dad, okay? My dad was a illegal CBer, okay? He ran a Johnson Viking II at times, a Ranger. He even had a desk, and I've got some evidence right here. There's my dad running a Johnson desk with a Ranger. I spent 18 hours getting that Ranger to configure to that desk because I really didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I got it working, all right? My dad used to sit down there in the basement with a D104 Johnson desk, smoking L&M cigarettes, blowing tobacco into his D104 and eating Ritz crackers with peanut butter, right? It's one of my fondest memories. So it's in my blood, right? So that's the story. That's why I do it. And I like it. What can I say? Hope you liked the video.